What are you doing, Dee Dee?
I'm just trying to get back on the thing.
Oh, yeah.
Uh, It's up anyway, sweetie.
Oh,
It's up and going.
is it starting?
Yeah.
Okay. Hold on, let me just open this up. Sorry, we suddenly it crashed for some reason, so
It's my computer.
it's Dee Dee's
I might have to,
computer,
if we're going
yes.
to keep doing these live streams, Trishy, I might have to bring your other computer out here and
Oh, okay.
work
yeah.
on it with that. Because,
Either that or we upgrade your computer.
well, that'll take a while. So,
Would it?
yeah, I mean, just temporarily we can bring your other computer out for doing these live streams, you know?
Right. Is that a bit of a production or no?
No, it's just picking it up and moving it out here.
Okay. So, anyway,
It's probably beyond what I want to do right this minute.
yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Hopefully that won't happen again. I wonder why that's happening, Dee Dee.
OBS, because Windows has taken up so much space on my 250 meg SSD that used to be big enough
Yeah.
and was supposed to be a fast drive, that now things crash when I try and do too much.
Right.
I basically can't open YouTube or anything at the same time as I've got No Man's Sky going.
Oh, yeah.
And this was a combination
Oh.
of...
For some reason it says part 1 again. So,
Okay. That's probably because I didn't change the name of it.
that's all right. I'll change it.
Yeah.
Anyway, we were talking about we were talking about COVID and the vaccination SHIT show that we've got going here, which
We
is
were talking
it's
a
not
little
good.
bit about the way it's been spreading, and in Australia that it's outpacing the contact tracing. And we've been very good about the contact tracing so far.
Yeah, yeah.
And the contact tracing is kind of one of the keys to getting it under control to some degree. But partly there's actually been people who seem to be intentionally spreading it by going from
Really?
an area with...
Intentionally and spreading it.
Yeah, well, like
In
somebody...
Australia?
Yeah, like
Really?
somebody
Oh, my.
went from the main center of infection. He and his teenage sons, his older, I think they were teenagers or maybe they were young adults, and started traveling around. He was the one who went up to Byron Bay and Dubbo and all out that way. And he would go into places. He
Hey, Holly.
stopped in a lot of different places. And he didn't do any of the signing in for contact tracing you're supposed to do. So nobody knows exactly where he went, and he's not telling. And
Oh, my God. Can't they? He's not telling.
Yeah. He says, I don't really remember. I went to, they know he went to Byron Bay and he went to Lismore. He went to here and there, And he and one of his sons was contagious at the time.
Where is he from?
From Sydney, from like one of the
Sydney.
hot spots in Sydney.
What is he doing?
Well, that exactly. I mean,
Oh, my
it's
God.
like those two women with COVID who jumped on a plane. They were coming right from Bankstown or one of the really main hot spots, and they both had COVID, and they jumped on a plane to Melbourne, and they were grabbed in Melbourne and put in lockdown and fined $5,000 each. But I mean, what the fuck?
Don't they realize that this is killing people?
I don't think they care. I think it's that mentality that we were talking about before, that, well, I just want it to go everywhere, and then we can stop these lockdowns. Everybody will just get it, and that'll be the end of it.
Right, yeah.
Except
Yeah.
that'll be the end of it. It'll overwhelm hospitals, and a lot of people will die. Or get, you know, I don't want to say what's worse because I don't think it is worse, but some of these long haul COVID things, particularly the ones that affect the mind, where you get the mental fog thing that
Yeah.
lasts, I don't know, it's lasted some people like 6, 9 months
yeah.
so far,
Yeah.
you know, or these things like that 26-year-old woman
Yeah.
who, you know, basically, as far as it looked when she had COVID, um, it looked like it was mild symptoms,
Yeah.
but it had vascular effects on her brain, and within 2 weeks she'd had paralysis all down her left side, and couldn't talk, and you know, like, and this is all COVID related,
Right.
and it's like, and she was a young, healthy, you know, 26-year-old. She wasn't an old person. She wasn't an at-risk person. Yeah, and that's the thing. More and more people in ICUs and stuff are
Yeah.
actually young kids. They're having a lot of problems at this point with COVID spreading to kids in schools,
Yeah.
and the children getting really ill. I mean,
Really?
seriously
In
ill.
Australia?
In Australia.
What, children are getting ill now
Yeah,
too? Because I
yeah.
know that's happening in America, in the US.
Yeah, no, in Australia. And they're talking about closing down the, you know, like not allowing people to come to
What-
schools.
When you say really ill, am I coming
I mean,
through?
like
Didi?
going into ICUs.
Am I coming through okay?
I think so.
Okay, let me
Yeah,
just,
you
let me
look
just
like-
check. Yeah, that's okay. That's okay. Is it loud enough, Holly? Can
Yeah, you want to be sure to be speaking into your mic?
I am. Yeah.
Okay. Well, you're a bit to the side at the moment.
Yeah. Is it?
Okay.
I just wondered if Holly could tell us
Yeah.
if it's sort of the
Hi, Holly.
levels. The
Lovely
levels
to
are
see you.
equal, and if it sort of seems loud
Yeah.
enough.
Yeah.
Because it's hard sometimes to tell. So if somebody could tell us that, that'd be great.
Yeah.
So there's how many? Do you know how many? Do you know how many children, Didi?
I don't know. I was reading that today.
Mm.
I don't know if it was in the Guardian or in the ABC
Right.
ABC News. Yeah. Anyway, it's become a real concern,
Yeah.
and I mean, there was that whole outbreak. I think a lot of the outbreak in Queensland related to the school.
Mm.
You know, somebody in one of the schools had it. I think it was a college,
Oh, whoops.
which is what we call like upper secondary schools,
Yeah.
rather than U.S. colleges, which are actually a tertiary school.
Yeah.
What are the years for colleges, Trishy, here?
What do you mean, like
Is it
high
like
school?
year 8 through 12 or
8 through
what?
12. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
I'm just posting this again because we have a new
Yeah.
link.
Yeah. I'm a little bit hungry. I might eat something.
Okay.
Okay. I'll leave you with this view of
Huh? What are you going to? No, not really. We have pretend animal products here, pretend vegan junk food by Gardein that every so just once in a blue moon we get we feel like eating some junk food. So anyway, I'm just going to repost this. No, I think I'll just I wouldn't mind actually just a glass of orange juice would be great. Thanks, Didi. So I'm just looking for something. I noticed Caitlin Johnson said, so what did we learn about U.S. military interventionism? Hey, Dee, you wouldn't mind getting me that before you get totally involved in the making of the toast, would you? Oh, you're very good. Thank you. So I was just going to post underneath her comment the thing that every so often I like to post. And I might even read some of this out because it's sort of let me see. It's William Bloom's list of instances where the United States overthrowing or attempting to overthrow a foreign government since World War II. Because, we know that the US have been looking, we knew that they were never ever going to leave Afghanistan, and the Western imperialist allies were never going to leave Afghanistan. So any excuse to stay, to send more troops in, because you've got also, you want to keep a hold of that very large functioning opium poppy field that they've got going there that probably funds the CIA. And speaking of the CIA, so these are the instances of the United States overthrowing or attempting to overthrow a foreign government since World War II. And this is an incomplete list, and asterisk beside the name indicates successful ouster of a government. So China 1949 to early 1960s, Albania 1949 to 53, East Germany 1950s, Iran 1953, that was a successful ouster of a government. Guatemala 1954, that has an asterisk as well. Costa Rica mid-1950s, Syria 1956 to 57, Egypt 1957, Indonesia 1957 to 58, British Guyana, I think it is, 1953 to 64 with an asterisk. Iraq 1963 with an asterisk. North Vietnam 1945 to 73. Cambodia 1955 to 70. That's an asterisk. Laos 1958 an asterisk. 1959 an asterisk. 1960 an asterisk. Ecuador 1960 to 63 an asterisk. Congo 1960 asterisk. This is instances of the United States overthrowing or attempting to overthrow a foreign government since Second World War. Now we're only a sixth of the way through it. So Congo was 1960, that was successful. France 1965, Brazil 1962 to 64, that was successful. Dominican Republic 1963, that was successful. Cuba 1959 to present. Bolivia 1964, that was successful. Indonesia 1965, that was successful. Ghana 1966 was successful. Chile 1964 to 73, that was successful. Greece 1967, that was successful. Costa Rica 1970 to 71. Bolivia 1971, that was successful. Australia 1973 to 75, that was successful. We lost Prime Minister Gough Whitlam. He was ousted. Angola 1975 to 1980s. In 1980s. Zaire 1975. Portugal 1974 to 76, that's successful. Jamaica 1976 to 1980, successful. Seychelles 1979 to 81. Chad 1981 to 82, successful. Grenada 1983, successful. South Yemen 1982 to 84. Suriname 1982 to 84. Fiji 1987, successful. Libya 1980s. Nicaragua 1980 to 81, and to 90, that's successful. Panama 1989, successful. Bulgaria 1990, successful. Albania 1991, successful. Iraq 1991. Afghanistan 1980, successful. Somalia 1993. Yugoslavia 1999 to 2000, successful. So this is instances of the United States overthrowing or attempting to overthrow a foreign government since the Second World War. So this is an incomplete list. Let's see where we're up to now. Did I mention? Yeah, Somalia, Iraq 1991. Afghanistan, 1980, successful. Somalia, 1993. Yugoslavia, 1999 to 2000, successful. Ecuador, 2000, successful. Afghanistan, 2001, successful. Venezuela, 2002, successful. Iraq, 2003, successful. Haiti, 2004, successful. Somalia, 2007 to present. Honduras, 2009. Libya, 2011, successful. Syria, 2000 and can I wonder if that, hang on a sec, let me just make sure I can be, oh yeah, it's still working. Syria, 2012. Ukraine, 2014, successful. Nicaragua, 2018. Venezuela, 2019, that's ongoing. Iran, 2019. Bolivia, 2019, ongoing. And Belarus, 2020. And, you probably add a few more in there as well. So anyway, that's the Overthrowing Other People's Governments, the U.S. Master List by William Bloom. And I added some in because, of course, William Bloom died about 3 years ago or 4 years ago. And he wrote that book, Killing Hope, which is very, very good. So, hi Nadia, how are you? It's nice to see you. I was just reading out the list. Oh, did I say successful? Well, it was successful briefly for about a year, Venezuela, with Juan Guaido and, that mess that he is. And then, of course, it wasn't. It was, you could almost, well, it was semi-successful, I think you could probably say. Because it could cause a big disruption. And anyway, so Afghanistan, they don't want to leave, and they'll use any excuse not to leave. What's that, Didi?
The DEA stuff in Colombia and the way they undermine FARC and FARC.
Yeah. And every week there's somebody or more.
Exactly, and overthrow the government because they were supporting the government against any kind of change.
I know Venezuela has its problems, and I know no government is perfect, but it's like I was watching a live stream of Nicolas Maduro talking to his party, and they're putting their hands up, I guess. I'm not sure, I don't speak. Is it Portuguese they speak in Venezuela, Didi, or is it Spanish? Spanish, I don't speak Spanish. But they all look so happy. I don't know. It's like they all it looks like they want to do stuff for the people. That's what it looks like anyway, And it's just so nice it must be nice not to kind of hate your government, you know what I mean? And not to be expecting them to just be trying to, stomp on you and suppress you and take away things from you at every turn. That must be a nice feeling, because we haven't had a government like that since they helped overthrow Gough Whitlam, really, have we, Didi?
No.
In 75, and I was 15 then.
People talk kind of rapturously about the Hawke government and the Hawke-Keating government, but I mean, Hawke and Keating basically introduced kind of neoliberalism in a big way to Australia, and some of the things they did against unions and stuff like that were inexcusable.
Yeah,
and
really.
They took, like Gough, the one we're talking about, who's the same party as Hawke. I mean, Gough instituted free education, including free tertiary education.
Yeah, he was very good with Indigenous rights and he was
free health.
He was pretty much anti-war, and he basically wanted to. And this is the biggest mistake you can ever make with the U.S.
He wanted the U.S. bases out.
Yeah, that. But also, he wanted to use resources for us, for the people, didn't he?
Yeah,
did he?
They wanted to
buy back the farm.
That is a
huge mistake. You know, you cannot. You are an enemy of the U.
Was a big thing. Let's take control back from the corporations.
You're an enemy of the U.S. as far as they're concerned. If you want to use resources,
I think
for yourself.
his biggest thing, the reason they really got because they wanted to get rid of Pine Gap. which is an American spy base.
He didn't want to be part of the Five Eyes thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was one of his biggest mistakes. But he also didn't like war, and that's a huge mistake.
Yeah.
You can't be anti-war. You can't, and not be a target of the US. You can't. You've got to go along with them. And it's been like that. We've been going along with them, haven't we? We had no say. Like millions of people came out against the Iraq War in 2003, didn't they, Didi? I marched in Sydney when I was living there. And heaps of people. It was a great march and everything. They had
there was a
absolutely
huge march
no
across
interest.
Sydney Harbour Bridge and stuff
Yeah,
like
there was
that.
they had no interest in what the public wanted at all in Australia, did they? They just went ahead and did it, and went ahead and did whatever they wanted.
I
Didn't
think
they?
that was the last
That's
really
the last-
big anti-war
Yeah.
anything, because people realized they're not going to pay attention to this.
No, but I mean, the
people
thing
should
is
have
they've
just
gone
kept
to
out in the
sleep.
street.
But the thing is, they've just gone to sleep since then, and also they've
Yeah.
kept it all on the down low. The whole imperialist thing, it's just expanded and expanded and expanded, and we've just gone along with everything. There's been no discussion with the public about it. Has it, Didi?
No, and what's worse is, particularly with the Morrison government, they actually act as a proxy for the U.S., where, like Australia's the only one who supports, often in the UN, the U.S. stuff in favor of Israel, or Australia was leading the charge to do this investigation on Wuhan, and Australia's sort of leading the charge of climate change denial. Let's not do anything.
Yeah.
The only country that's not making a commitment to.
We keep getting right-wing governments now, and Didi and I kind of scratch at, like, not that the other major party is. We've got a preferential voting system in Australia, so there's more than one. There's more than two parties, but I mean, and that's, thank goodness, and I'm sure they'll try and get rid of that one day. But it's they're both pretty useless, and they both just trot along behind the US with its imperialist endeavors, and there's no discussion about it. And we don't have any anti-war movement to speak of here in Australia. But there's something I wanted to mention. I mean, I don't really know. Maybe somebody can tell me if there's anybody that is in Australia besides Caitlin Johnson and who speaks about U.S. empire and stuff, because I don't, and John Pilger, of course, because he there's a few prominent kind of people, I suppose, that mention it, but very rarely. But it's probably John Pilger and Caitlin Johnson who probably mention it more than anybody, and the rest of them are just silent. It's like it's not even going on.
John Pilger, like Julian Assange, aren't really in Australia.
No, they're not even in Australia. You just don't hear any conversation, debate about the wars at all, except maybe if you get Cornel West coming over for a quandary, and he's not an Australian. He came over one day to a couple of times, I think, to be on a panel, but it wasn't even on the discussion thing. I think he manages to just inject it in there in the lovely way that he does. But I wanted to say something about, I don't know if anybody does this, but like I find the way I sometimes lift myself up a little bit in spirits by watching like things like that live stream with Nicolas Maduro and his party, and they're all kind of, and that they're trying to do stuff for the people, or watching, like Latin American leaders talking, sort of engaging with the public, or giving speeches, or I don't know, it makes me feel like at least there's some sort of sanity in the world where there's some leaders that are trying to do
for people working for
and I find watching Luna Oi's channel is really uplifting too, because she's a Vietnamese communist, and she talks about, she says, of course, Vietnam's got lots of problems and it's far from socialist, but she said we're trying, and they sort of have they have pretty good elections. They have pretty good elections, and they sort of when there's a problem, if people run out of food during COVID, they'll drop a huge amount of free vegetables and stuff for them in their street and things like that. I mean, they do. 90% of Vietnamese people own their own home, you know, there's all, and it's sort of, I think, thank goodness, you know, because there's 90 million Vietnamese people, and they learn about Lenin Marxist theory during their school days, you know, their education system, like, so that it's that sort of, you know, it's anti-capitalist, that sort of ideology is kind of commonplace, and so they're not being dragged into the
propaganda.
Yeah.
Of course,
which
American
is fantastic.
history is not propaganda.
No,
That's one of those things.
Which is so fantastic, Dee Dee. You know that their education system is focused on that.
Yeah.
And of course they're I'm generalizing here, but I mean she's incredibly cluey and it's great to see, and it makes me feel happy that there are people and countries who aren't they're battling the U.S. empire all the time. You know, the U.S. empire is trying to interfere with all these different countries.
They've never stopped really going to war.
They've never stopped, no. But it just really makes me feel better that there are other countries that are doing the opposite to what we're doing here, to what they're doing in the United States, to what they're doing in the UK, and it kind of, I think,
and it's like,
gives me...
I mean, I think all of these various socialist
exactly, Nadia.
kind of all of these socialists are kind of partly socialist or mostly socialist countries. I mean, they're all just really trying to see what can work for them, what structures they can create for themselves to help the people.
Yeah.
You know, and it's inspiring. I mean, people talk about, oh yes, Marxism with this characteristic or that. Well, really, it's just about taking those principles of socialism, you know, the basic principles that society, you know, if really, you know, like if it's not working for the people, it's not society.
Yeah.
You know, how can you have society that isn't socialist in a way?
Yeah.
It's like economic democracy. If you're going to believe in democracy, you know, do you believe in economic democracy?
Yeah.
And you know, like they're all working on different different structures based on their situations, and they may have more or less little bits of something that looks like capitalism, but mostly it seems to be socialism, and the basic principles that, you know, the wealth of the country should go to the people in the country, and the efforts of people should go back to the people, and that you need to look after everybody.
Yeah.
And, you know, Vietnam has their particular way of doing it. Venezuela has their way of doing it. Various people have their ways of doing it. But I kind of want to just, do you mind if I rattle on for a minute and do a bit of a rave?
No, that's fine.
I wanted to do a little bit of a rave about the fact that the way the U.S. and the media has been pumping out shit about the Taliban. Oh, the Taliban are taking over. Oh, we've got to do something about it. Oh, the Taliban are going to take Kabul. The Taliban have taken this town and that. Well, God Almighty, before the Americans left, the Taliban were already winning.
They'd already taken
over. And
if
you're really, why are you worried about the Taliban taking over? Yes, the Taliban are fundamentalist, incredibly misogynist, restrictive, you know, very bad version of Islam.
Yeah. It's not a version of Islam at all, Dee Dee.
It's not really Islam at all.
No.
It comes from that Wahhabist version of Saudi Arabia. But if you're concerned about that, how can you be supporting Saudi Arabia?
Yeah.
And how can you be supporting, you know, basically the same kind of ideology among the Uyghurs in order to destabilize China?
Yeah.
Which is, you know, it is in the same way as the U.S. originally supported and virtually created the Taliban to try and destabilize Russia in Afghanistan.
Yeah.
They're doing the same sort of shit in
China.
in China
not
with
gonna
China
work, though.
with the Uyghurs.
It's not going to work.
And they're doing the same sort of. They did the same sort of shit with the moderate rebels, all the people
yeah,
who
yeah,
were
in Syria.
Al Qaeda and,
Yeah.
and fundamentalist Islamic, Wahhabist misogynists and horrible people, basically, that other Muslims were fighting against.
Yeah.
I mean, Syria was and is an Islamic country primarily.
Yeah.
I mean, although it has large Christian minorities and that kind of thing.
Yeah.
But, they were fighting against these fundamentalists.
Yeah.
And it was the U.S. supporting these people.
Yeah.
And how can they go from they're supporting these people, they're supporting the people in Saudi Arabia,
Yeah.
which is where Wahhabism comes from.
Yeah.
And they're supporting the Uyghurs, the ones who are actually trying to, institute an Islamic state and who are basically kind of like ISIS
Yeah.
or Al Qaeda. And what am I looking at?
The comments.
Since the fall of the USSR, it's been very hard for socialist countries to make it. Absolutely.
And
With no
there's-
support.
and
I
that-
mean, they're facing sanctions and all that. And I mean, the USSR was never free of massive interference from the capitalist West.
Yeah.
I mean, right from the revolution, they had during the White Russian War, a lot of that was supported by troops from Europe and the U.S. and that kind of thing. They were actually under assault, and the USSR was always kind of half crippled by the fact that the U.S. was absolutely opposed to it.
Yeah.
Let's see. Unfortunately, Nadia, what else is
They
there?
want the East
The
Turkestan.
Taliban is the excuse. The Taliban is definitely the excuse. And I'm not saying the Taliban is good. I think they're terrible. And I think a lot of Afghanis think they're terrible. I think that kind of fundamentalism was never present in Afghanistan before the U.S. started
Yeah.
interfering.
Yeah, that's
You
a
know,
whole.
I've spent time in Afghanistan in the early 70s and that kind of stuff, and it wasn't like that.
What was it like, Didi? Tell us what it was
Well,
like.
there were various issues still, but I mean, women tended to go around, they might wear a headscarf. They kind of like they did in Turkey and a lot of places.
Yeah.
But there was not really much of this, burqas and full covering
Yeah,
thing.
yeah. The same
there,
as
there
Iran.
just wasn't
hey?
that, and in the north, it tended to be warlords.
Yeah.
There were problems with that. I've met people in Afghanistan who said, were kind of boasting that they liked being in a pass or something with a rifle and just shooting anybody who came through. Yeah, it was the Wild West up that way.
Yeah. That's
but
why
it
they
was-
can't. That's why they have so much trouble. Like, different countries have tried to kind of win wars with, but there's so many different. It's very.
It's very disparate.
Disparate,
it's
yeah.
like many places in the world. It's like Transylvania was when the Turks were invading, when the Ottoman Turks were invading Europe. They came in and they could swoop through Wallachia and Moldova, which are relatively flat parts. They went right through. What's the name of the country between Romania and Turkey? Out of my head. I'm having a senior moment. It'll come back.
You're allowed.
But they swept through that area, which were mostly kind of plains, and then they came up to the mountains of Transylvania, and that tended to be a lot more wild, and people who knew the mountains like the back of their hands.
Nadia says
And
Bulgaria.
they fought.
Actually,
Bulgaria, of course,
so Nadia was saying she thinks some sort of deal with the Taliban has been cut, so China, Russia, and Iran will be attacked. Well, that's possible. Who knows?
Yeah.
Anything that any way they can, set
Any
up
way they
something
can
like
spin
that.
it. I mean,
Yeah.
they they kind of ignore the fact that the Taliban basically came into being when the U.S. and Saudi Arabia were funding the Mujahideen and that kind of thing. And Saudi Arabia, the U.S. went to Saudi Arabia and said, we want you to fund half of this program to have Islamic resistance against Russia.
Yeah.
And the
Because
princes, the monarchs, absolute monarchs in Saudi Arabia didn't want any of their personal wealth to go to any of this. So they said to the Wahhabi, who they have this deal with, we want you to go out to the mosques and raise money for this, which they did under the thing of jihad, where the Quran says that when any Islamic nation is attacked, all Muslims should work together against that.
Yeah.
So they were collecting money for jihad,
Yeah.
and it started the jihadist movement, and they were talking to people from all over the Islamic world, and they set up these madrasas in Pakistan and that kind of stuff, and it kind of took hold in southern Afghanistan. And they were basically exporting this Wahhabist, very kind of fundamentalist thing. These are the people who destroyed the tombs of the Prophet's family, in the name of purity and that kind of stuff. Are we going
to crash?
No, it's just No Man's Sky who's crashed.
Holly sounds like a Borg. Taliban as proxies, they will lose.
They will. They will.
That sounds like 7 of 9.
Yes.
You will fail.
You will fail. Yeah.
Probably.
I'll have to start the thing again.
Oh, okay.
But that's all right. It's starting now. I'll keep rattling on.
Yeah.
Anyway, the madrasas and that kind of stuff took hold mostly in the south.
Can I have a little bit of your toast, Edie? Can I
What?
have some of that? Can I have a little bit of your
Yeah.
toast?
And became,
Thanks.
it has chili on it, and it became the Taliban. And the Taliban are basically an importation of Wahhabist ideology into Afghanistan. And the Taliban basically were at war after the Russians left. The Taliban were at war with the Mujahideen and the people in the north who didn't agree with any of that. And that war went on for 10 years, before the U.S. invaded.
Is it loading?
I'm ignoring the game. Okay.
I hope this isn't too loud. I'm eating a toast that's very crunchy. I'm sorry.
Yeah. And anyway, there was a civil war for 10 years between the Taliban and the northern Afghani people who didn't like the Taliban either, who didn't agree with that kind of Islamic idea. And so now, because the Taliban seem to be the main focus of resistance against the U.S., the Taliban have become very powerful. I think in these situations where the U.S. does their imperialist garbage, the people who oppose it's like I've seen Rania Khalek and various people, Palestinian people, talk about the fact that they're not really in favor of Hamas. That Hamas tends to be a bit more fundamentalist in its approach to Islam, and push some of these moral, somewhat misogynist type of policies and some of these strict interpretations of Islam within Palestine. But basically people in Palestine support it not because of their agreement with that ideology. A lot of them disagree with it and have said so. But because they're opposing Israel. And they are the force that opposes Israel.
Yeah.
And, anybody who's opposing Israel is on their side, effectively.
Mm.
And I think this has happened with the Taliban a bit, although there's a lot of people
Excuse me.
in Afghanistan who don't like the Taliban. But basically, I don't think that that stuff will ever get settled out and sorted out until the U.S. goes away.
Yeah.
It's
Not going
like
away. Short of
Iran is not perfect. I mean, I love Iran. I don't think I think when they worked to create their state, they unintentionally gave too much power to the church, to Islam, and it gave them the ability, the ayatollahs and stuff, to override some of what's going on in the civil parliament. And that's been unfortunate. I think a lot of people would like to change that so that it was more basically democratic. This is in Iran.
Yeah.
But that's not going to happen. I mean, they only want that to happen within a voluntary system where they can still honor their religion and that kind of thing. It's like you can reform a system from within, where it takes account of the whole culture and that kind of stuff. Or you can try and impose some alien ideology on top of it. And basically, whenever the U.S. tries to raise shit in Iran, they all band together and say, the U.S. is evil. And they're right.
Yeah.
Now, what the Taliban and the Afghan, let's look at some of those. The Pushtun cross-border affairs with Pakistan are already attacking Belt and Road projects. Yeah, there's various. The Australian Citizens Party, I didn't get that comment.
Oh,
sweetie.
I'm sorry. Will you
You're,
watch? I'm sorry.
Flipping
there
past
you go.
the comment. I can't read it on my screen. I have to try and read it on Trish's. The Australian Citizens Party has some material about it too. I think Daniel Dumbrell has a long interview with them too. It's a complex situation, and it's a simple situation. Basically, people oppose the U.S.
I think they're actually really working on that. Between China and Russia are sort of working to move away
the Shanghai
entirely
Cooperation
from and isolate the U.S.,
Organization.
which is probably one of many good strategies to
establish
to just isolate them completely. That's one of the best ways to
to switch from using the U.S. dollar as a global reserve currency. Yes, I mean that would be incredibly significant and would take away a considerable amount of power from the U.S.
Yeah,
one of the reasons the U.S. gets away with having massive international debt is because everybody uses the U.S. dollar as a currency of exchange.
Yeah.
And that means they don't want that currency devalued.
Yeah.
Otherwise, the U.S. would be subject to the same kind of shit that other countries are subject to.
That Australian Citizens Party, Nadia, I looked them up one time, and I haven't really heard. I have to say, I don't pay that much attention to Australian politics because there's a lot of theatre involved, and you never really hear much from the actual anybody other than the two major parties, unfortunately. But the Australian that Australian Citizens Party, is that anti-imperialist? Like, do they... I was just having a look at their site. I don't really have... It's hard to read stuff on it while I'm listening to Dee Dee, but it's like... I'd like to think that they're anti-imperialist because that's essential, and that's something that... Like the Green Party here aren't anti-imperialist. I don't know any party that really is, Hey, Dee Dee. They're just not. And so, like, it would make a change if there was one political party that was. The Social Demo. Oh yeah, I don't really know much about them.
Basically, it's off a Trotskyite party, Fourth International
I'll have to look at that interview.
Socialists.
Yeah.
They're the ones who do resistance, and they're the ones who give Green Left News,
Right. Yeah. Yeah.
which is probably really the only alternative.
I think that parties that think that if they are anti-imperialist, they're never going to get anywhere near power, and that's probably true. But still, you know, it's sad, really sad. They're against ratcheting up tensions with China at a minimum. Well, that's great. Oh, they're pro-Whitlam, and that's nice. Even the Labor Party isn't even pro-Whitlam anymore, are they, Didi? You never ever hear. The best you'll hear is
The Labour Party are trying
Hawke.
to live Whitlam down, I think.
Yeah.
They pro-Hawke.
Yeah,
and
they're
Hawke
pro-Hawke,
was,
'cause Hawke was neoliberal.
You know, yeah.
Yeah, it's disgusting.
What's his name? The disgusting Labour Prime Minister in UK.
Boris Johnson.
No, Labour.
Oh, I'm sorry, Labour. Keir Starmer.
What?
Keir Starmer.
No, the guy.
Jeremy.
The guy who was involved in promoting the Iraq War.
Oh, Tony Blair.
Tony Blair.
Yeah.
Tony Blair took his cues off of the Hawke government.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Jesus Christ.
He saw the
Jesus.
success of the Hawke government, and that's,
They can never get
Blairism
rid of that
is
guy.
basically what?
They can never get rid of Tony Blair. Like, he's in the shadows. If
Yeah.
he's not, like, it's almost like he's driving from the back seat almost. Like, he's never gone away, Tony Blair. I mean, anyway.
Yeah.
Oh,
It's kind of disgusting.
yeah.
Australia has a lot of small parties that you rarely hear from. Part of that is suppression.
Hey, Didi, just remember every time you chomp on that toast, everybody has to listen.
I had my mic off.
Oh, I see. Okay. It doesn't always work, though. That's the problem.
Really?
Yeah, it's sort of... I think you can vaguely hear it, but it's not like
Okay.
full-on crunching or anything.
Okay. Anyway, God,
I'm
I've
sorry,
lost my
I've
train
thrown
of
you
mind
off.
now.
Tony Blair.
Tony Blair and all of that, and Hawke and Hawke Keating. What was I thinking about? Oh, I was just saying about Australia has a lot of very small parties, including real fascist ones, but you mostly don't hear about them. And part of that is media suppression.
We never used
mean-
to have parties like that, did we, Didi? Like really crazy parties like One Nation.
Well, there's
now
worse ones than
now
One
there's
Nation
a
now, yeah.
proliferation of them now.
Yeah.
Oh, sure. One Nation is looking pretty good compared to
And
some of them.
some of them are really deceptive. Like there's something like the Sustainability Party,
Oh, yeah.
which is sustainable by not letting any migrants of color come into
Yeah.
Australia. So it's
Yeah.
basically a racist party.
Yeah.
And like you kind of go, Jesus, God in heaven.
Yeah.
We noticed. I was involved with the Green Party, establishing the WA Green Party, and this was at a time when
WA is Western Australia.
the WA Greens were
Western Australia.
yeah, the WA Greens were actually separate from the Australian Greens,
Yeah.
and the main reason they were separate is because they were much more based on participatory democracy rather than some central organization telling you what to do.
Uh-huh.
Bob Brown.
So bottom up. You mean bottom up?
Yeah, it was a
Understand.
bottom-up organization, and it also was extremely anti-imperialist because it was partly an amalgam of the Joe Valentine Peace Party and the Anti-Nuclear Party. So it had a really strong anti-war, anti-imperialist notion, and Dee, who was the senator I was working for, and I both come from basically an anarcho-syndicalist, socialist kind of framework where we were involved in kind of the fight against neo-imperialism. And so a lot of that was in what we were doing. But the media would come to us. We would actually put out a lot of information that was very good. including a whole thing about Australia's arms trade, which we basically wrote a report about that. And the media first reported Dee as a Labour backbencher, although they knew she was the Greens. And they would come to me and ask me if they could use information we were putting out, and then tell me kind of in a hesitant way that they weren't allowed to say where it came from or it couldn't get by their editors. So, there's a lot of suppression that can happen with minor parties.
Yeah.
Which is disgusting.
Yeah, it's disgusting.
But there's a lot of parties. I mean, these days, the Greens kind of went into a thing of wanting to be electorally popular and mainstreaming, and that was a really unfortunate move, rather than standing on their principles.
Yeah, now you've got the leader of the Tasmanian Greens putting out smears about Julian Assange. It's just sad.
Yeah.
She's totally propagandized, and it's just really sad.
Yeah. Yeah. I had to get my little person out into the ship before they died. I keep forgetting to play this game.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's very pretty.
It's very pretty. Yeah, it's a very pretty game.
WA and Victoria.
Let's see, what else were Nadia and Holly saying?
To ratcheting
Tony
up tensions
Blair,
with
yes.
China because of local economic interests. Yeah, at least it's a bad motivation, but if that stops Australia from getting more and more involved in that nonsense, and it's worse. It's much worse than nonsense. It's very dangerous. Somebody I like to watch, but they're pretty right wing and stuff and problematic.
Yeah, I think I had my mic off. WA and Victoria, Nadia said, repeatedly object to ratcheting up tensions with China because of local economic interests. Yeah, I mean, they've found... I mean, it's insane because Australia has been trading with China. China's been our biggest consumer of our resources. I mean, Australia's gone back to being mostly a resource provider. We've wiped out most of our industry.
Yeah.
We no longer have a car industry. We no longer have a steel industry.
Yes.
We sell our coal and our
We're going to have a weapons industry instead, Dee, making
we can
drones,
make weapons.
just like the UK.
Yahoo.
Yes, that's the sort of industry we're going to have.
We'll join the UK and France. And
we've started making drones in, I don't know, somewhere like Cloncurry in Queensland and places like that.
God.
Yeah.
Cloncurry
really
is such a...
Or is it Winton? I don't know. Somewhere small. They've started some sort of manufacturing drones. I'm sure that's to help out with this war of some kind, like this war on China kind of thing.
When I first came to Australia, Cloncurry was the murder capital, I think, of Australia, which, given that it's a tiny town in
lots of domestic violence, I imagine.
Rural Queensland.
Yeah?
Yeah, I don't know what it was, but it was pretty awful.
Yeah. I saw something on Rania's site. Rania on Twitter, Kalek, she was playing this thing. Now, normally I don't watch Laura Ingraham at all, but she had this guy on called I don't know what his name was. I don't know if his name was John Taffer. I don't know. But anyway, he said they were talking about the unemployed and they were talking about hunger, and Laura Ingraham said, what if we just cut off the unemployment? Hunger is a pretty powerful thing. And he said, later he said they only feed a military dog at night because a hungry dog is an obedient dog. Well, if we are not causing people to be hungry to work, if we are not causing people to be hungry at work. So basically, I mean, these are the kind of, and this is this sort of ideology. I mean, they're just saying out loud what the Biden probably administration think anyway. I mean, look at the advisors and stuff that he has. But, like, these people are just total fascists, aren't they, Diddy? Wouldn't you say?
Yes.
This sort of... Let me play you this, what they said on this thing. That's Fox News.
Economic professor. If you get
Hang on.
$800 a week unemployment benefits, and you live with a partner who also is getting $800 a week unemployment benefits, $1,600 a week, Laura, 83.
Oh, hang on. Why did that chop out? Sorry.
That household
Did that work?
and unemployment benefits. The median income in America is only $63,000. We're incentivizing people to stay home. What if we gave that additional unemployment benefits to employers to incentivize people to go to work?
Well, what if we just cut off the unemployment? I mean, hunger is a pretty powerful thing. I don't mean physical hunger, because people who truly are in need help. I'm talking about people who can work but refuse to work. But the government is literally putting anvils in many ways on people's shoulders, either through the mandates, regulations, and now through free money, which obviously we're all going to, the piper eventually has to be paid. John, I want to ask you, though, about this idea of work-life balance. Because, look, no one wants to miss their kids growing up. No one wants to, you stay in the office your whole life, you never see your family. So that's really important. However, have we taken that a step too far when you think of, well, a lot of the millennials talking about, well, I need time for self-care. I don't know why I'm harping on that tonight, but the whole self-care movement is a little, I mean, my mother is not with us anymore, but she worked by the time she was 12 during the Depression. If she heard the self-care thing, I think her head would explode.
I think that's right. I have a friend in the military who trains military dogs, Laura, and they only feed a military dog at night because a hungry dog is an obedient dog. Well, if we're not causing people to be hungry to work, then we're providing them with all the meals they need sitting at home. I'm completely with you, Laura. These benefits make absolutely no sense to us. And on top of the impact of not getting employees and not being able to run our businesses, in my industry, we have meat prices are up 10%, chicken prices are up 15%.
No, inflation is going to kill business. I mean, that's the next shoe to drop. The Democrats.
Anyway, that sort of Ayn Rand sort of thinking. It's just there, instead of it being sort of in the shadows, like a bit more than now, it's like openly. I mean, the Fox News has always been kind of putting that stuff out there, but now they're kind of like, because both sides of duopoly are kind of crushing people and not looking after them at all in a pandemic even. It's sort of like they're just openly flaunting these awful Ayn Rand sort of type ideas that are just completely, everybody becomes a useless eater. Hey, Didi, everybody becomes a useless eater.
Yeah, basically it's like we will set up conditions where people are so desperate that they will take any shit in order to eat. They will do anything in order to eat.
Yes.
I mean, that's the whole thing they're talking about. We want people starving so that they will accept completely unreasonable conditions for their employment, rather than looking at, like, how much wealth are these people creating?
Yeah.
And what portion of that wealth are they receiving?
But you know what?
And basically, like the wealth that they create, so much of it goes to the rich, to the owners.
They're shooting themselves in the face, though, by openly going down that path and saying stuff like that and acting on it, right?
You think so?
Openly shooting themselves in the face, because they're not even smart enough to sort of do things by degrees anymore. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, you know, the smarter sort of neoliberal parties and neoconservative parties would do things by degrees. You know, you have to throw the public some crumbs to keep them happy, while you continue on oppressing them and screwing them. Basically, you have to keep them a little bit happy. But now they're sort of like at this point where, we don't have to do anything at all. We can just let them all be evicted.
Yeah.
And if they think that if sort of 3 million people or 10 million people being evicted isn't going to come back to hit them in the face one day it is, where they're going to have pitchforks and guillotines marching up to Capitol Hill, and no amount of guards is going to stop. Because when people don't have anything to lose anymore, that's when everybody becomes very dangerous. And if they think too that the National Guard's going to be able to save them or whatever, they're mistaken, because there's 300 and something million people in that country, and there are a lot of people with guns, lots of people with guns. So they can only kill so many people. If you end up screwing all the people, eventually that's going to hit you in the face. So this sort of hubris that they're displaying, like on Fox News, which is they're just openly saying what the other side believes, because it's just one big party, right?
Yeah.
That's just they're literally signing their own.
They're actually going beyond, what the other side believes, to to try and promote violence and so on, promote this sort of stuff. They want to promote these attitudes. Do you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
It's not just, it's promoting these attitudes.
Oh, you mean like Fox News is promoting?
Yeah, it's not just responding to what the rich and powerful want. They're actually trying to promote this in the public.
And to some degree, they've actually been successul, because in the U.S.
they've got a lot of Trumpers and people who'll repeat that.
The whole culture of sort of, instead of people being encouraged to care about one another and sort of try and support one another, they're encouraged. I'm generalizing here, but they're encouraged by the media and even by government in a way. Look at what Nancy Pelosi says about student debt and all that kind of stuff. They're encouraged to kind of, I'm not going to let my taxes. Now, this is another thing that's, if people understand MMT, federal taxes don't fund spending, so people's taxes aren't really funding anything. So that's a sort of a mistake that people make. So when they're saying, I don't want my taxes to, help with those refugees because I'm a big racist or whatever. Yeah. That's actually not what happens. So the MMT is important for people to understand what, how the economic system works there. But anyway, it's just, I don't know. They are promoting that the whole dog eat dog, for want of a better term, is something that's kind of like almost relished in a way. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
I'm not going. Yeah. This is mine, and I don't care. I don't care if you don't have health care. Yeah. I have mine, and
I have mine.
That's all that matters. And that's something that's kind of cultivated.
Yeah.
And that is sort of, and just like Malcolm X said, eventually the media will have you hating people that you're supposed to be basically protecting. I can't remember what the saying was, but you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Have you hating people that are in vulnerable positions and stuff like that.
Yeah.
So, but I really feel like these people are signing their own death warrant, literally, by continuing on. It's like a bully who's got everybody under the thumb and thinks there's no chance of anybody turning on them because they have all the control, right?
Yeah.
And they start to get really cocky and arrogant and start to, and then eventually somebody comes up from behind and it's all over.
Yeah.
It's sort of, I think it's going to be like that, because you cannot have that many people, and it doesn't matter what sort of political persuasion they are. You can't keep doing that to that many people.
Yeah.
And that badly for a long time and not have some repercussion.
Yes.
I know that like Jason Unruh always says, the U.S. citizens are never going to rise up against government. They just don't have that any sort of revolutionary thing, and that might be possible. But on the other hand, there doesn't even have to be any sort of ideology behind it. They just rise up against the government because they're fucked. So I feel like one day there's going to be that. I don't know what it's going to take. I feel like if they do any more of this kind of thing that they're doing during COVID, this could be it, actually. It could be the case where there's so many homeless people that the people have nothing to lose, and it really starts to get ugly, because they can start to attack different institutions just in their areas, like sabotage. It starts to be civil disobedience in their areas. And you could disrupt all kinds of corporations and businesses and completely destroy, to some degree, the very thing that they love, which is everything they're about, their raison d'etre for their whole empire, for their imperialist wars, right? If you start messing with that, that's when they'll really start to pay attention. I mean, there needs to be general strikes everywhere. There needs to be nonviolent civil disobedience. That's what I think is going to happen.
And like when people only pay attention when somebody burns down a police station or burns down something, people get it.
Yeah.
People get that.
Nadia was just saying, I'm concerned that I won't be able to get out of the US before it collapses into something more horrible than it already is towards its own people. Yeah, well, I hope you get out, Nadia, if you can get out sooner than later.
So too.
Sooner than later would be great. I don't know, go to Costa Rica or somewhere, I don't know. It's sort of like that's why we've been trying to encourage Didi's daughter to get out, because it's not going to get any better, that is for sure. It's only going to get worse, and in probably 2024, Trump or a competent fascist is going to get into power, and then it's going to be an acceleration of the awfulness that's already happening with Biden. So, it's not going to get any better, and they're not going to do anything about the climate crisis.
I mean, I left the
and
US
the fires are
in
going to be worse.
And it was
Didi
one
left.
of the best decisions I'd made.
Didi left in the 80s,
and the thing
when
is,
Reagan got in.
It will become more difficult to get out as time goes by, and more countries start kind of closing their borders, realizing that people are going to want. They're refugees from everywhere. They're refugees from all of these wars. Which Europe and America and the West, for want of a better term, has been blowing up and destroying all these countries. And now they're dealing with the refugees. Oh my goodness, why are these people all coming?
Well, that's what they tell the public. They know exactly why they're coming.
Yeah, they're doing it because you've blown up their countries.
So Nadia says, I guarantee that there's nothing coming from within the U.S. The police state in the U.S. is well prepared to massacre and imprison 15 million or more homeless people, and the poor are too sick to revolt anyway. I don't even know if they have to be even homeless, really. I think just the people can see it coming. They know that it's like, it doesn't matter what party there is in. The people that, maybe the people that aren't homeless can see that there is no interest in doing anything for the people. It is, you're on your own. And it's all, you've got to do it all yourself. You've got to, it's just sort of like I said, that dog eat dog thing. I don't know. I don't know what it would take, really.
Honestly, I think at some point people in the U.S. are going to.
And I agree with Nadia says Russia and China defeating the U.S. probably by long-term starving it is really the only way. Yeah, exactly. I mean, the problem is you can't really.
It's really
you
difficult
can't really
to
invade the U.S. because it'll mutually assured destruction, and I wouldn't want that to happen. But it's like there's this part of me that sort of feels like the only way to stop that is to actually attack the U.S. And yet I wouldn't want that to happen because it's always just the civilian population that suffers.
Yeah.
And I don't like violence anyway. The way to do it probably is to starve it, you know. And of course, it would be mutually assured destruction if there was any attack, even though Russia has very superior nuclear weapons now and can actually attack them from, have these undetectable submarines, nuclear submarines that are sort of superior
China's military
now.
is getting stronger and stronger. But I think that the fact that the U.S. has pushed, I keep saying, I think that it's incredible stupidity to push the Chinese to militarize, because militaries tend to have their own agendas.
Have we crashed again?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Sure. There we go.
You know,
We haven't.
Nadia.
I was
just wondering.
Online, but
I was just wondering. She says, "I've already been trying and failing to get out for 20 years. That's really sad."
how have you been trying? I
Yeah.
mean, just leave.
No, you can't just leave though, Didi.
Yeah.
You've got to. I don't know.
Have some sort of-
What about going to Canada?
I don't know. I mean,
Couldn't you?
I'm sure Canada probably has restrictions at this
no
point.
video.
It's not so
it
easy
crashed, and now we're rebooting.
Yeah.
Holly, it keeps crashing. I think we're going to have to use my other
The
computer.
other computer from. Yeah, I mean, during the Vietnam War, of course, it was easier to get people into Canada. I think Canada was kind of welcoming of people
Yeah.
coming across.
What about now, Didi? I don't know.
Well, I would doubt it, because I'm sure there's lots of people who'd like to get out of the
So
US.
mostly seeking jobs so that employers will sponsor visas for residency.
It's like I was able to get to Australia in 1980.
Yeah,
and
Canada
get
has
a
problems too.
residence because
But
I have skills,
yeah,
and I said I was going to live in WA in a rural area,
yeah.
and that was enough for them at that point.
I was going to say at least
And I don't think that's enough anymore.
no. I was going to say to Holly, at least Canada has they have health care, you know, sort of some sort of free health care and stuff. It's like you're always just one step away from, in some ways, you two bad bills away from kind of either homelessness or something. You know, like it only takes a couple of, you know, losing your job because of illness or something like that, and then you're sort of in dire straits and something that you can't recover from financially. And that is just not right, because that kind of stress, I used to often watch, when I'd watch TV, you know, these American movies and stuff, and people would go, oh, you should go to the hospital, and they'd go, no, and I think, why don't you go to the hospital?
Go to the hospital. That's
And then I
stupid
realized much later that it was probably because it's going to cost an arm and a leg to go to the
They don't wanna
hospital
go
to get
broke.
something done.
They don't want to lose their
It's
home.
crazy.
And everything that they own.
So a U.S. Bachelor of Science isn't really enough to get out. I was just wondering whether you could sort of like go to Canada and like just apply for some kind of a job
You want to
there,
become
even
a
if
refugee.
if it was just a something that's not very exciting that you could do, and then sort of I don't know. Can you do that, Didi? Can you do that? Like go there and apply for work, or do you have to?
I think you could probably go there if you had some sort
Didi's
of
talking into
temporary
Eva's
work.
bottom. It's so funny.
Yeah.
He's got his bottom in her face. He's so funny.
And the cat's just been knocking my headphones off. And, yeah.
Didi, can you give
having
him
a really
some,
good time.
Can you give him some biscuits, Didi?
Yes. Hang on.
God, he's hilarious.
He is. He's hilarious.
He's as cute
Okay,
as,
little snips.
He's
Look.
so cute as can
food.
be.
We actually have some nice pictures of him.
Yeah.
Evie, come on. Go over there, sweetie. Oh, okay. Here, you can eat it over here.
And he's really particular. I don't know. He's got to be fed at the right
in just
place.
the right way.
He's
right
got to be
place.
fed in the right place, otherwise he's unhappy. It's like, no, I want to be fed over there. That's my place.
Yeah.
Anyway, what did Nadia say? Teaching English in Vietnam or China if I can get out fast enough. Yeah, that's a great idea, and maybe Luna or EJ could suggest some things.
Yeah.
Yeah, teaching English in Vietnam would be good, and yeah, I mean,
Yeah. There's always Cuba. I mean,
yeah, I don't know. Cuba would be okay, I guess.
well, I don't know. The
They
U.S.
should have
is
some sort of refugee program for U.S. citizens. What state are you in, if you don't mind me asking, Nadia? Or what West Coast, East Coast? Oh, you're in New York City, right. Actually, Holly's in New York State, I think. Right, New York City. Yeah, I don't know, Didi. What's Costa Rica like for Didi? What's Costa Rica?
Well,
do you know?
Costa Rica, I don't know.
To go there, like if you were, because there's
There's
a
a
guy
lot
I
of-
know on
there's a lot of
Instagram. Hold on,
U.S.
Didi,
citizens.
There's a guy on Instagram that I follow who is possibly going back to Costa Rica, and he's a vegan and he's an old guy. He was in there for a while, then he had to come back for some reason, and then I think he's raw tropical living, and that he was going to go back to Costa Rica, and like I don't imagine he's got any. I don't think he's employed or anything. He's probably he's a bit younger than me, a little bit younger than me, and yeah, and for some reason I don't know. There's something he's been he's able to do. So maybe it's not as difficult as one might think.
I don't know. I think Costa Rica
Cuba
has
is
been a
pretty
place where a lot of
unstable
U.S.
because the
people
US
have gone.
is so close to it, yeah, and likely to crush it soon. I don't know. It always seems to survive. Cuba.
What's that?
Cuba. It always seems to survive, and
Yeah.
I think that
I think
China.
it would be hard.
I think China.
I think if I wanted to go,
it is hard. Yeah. Yeah.
China
I was
would
watching.
probably be better.
I was listening to Abby Martin and interviewing what's his name? Oh no, interviewing Gloria La Riva actually about Cuba, and
Yeah.
she was giving some insights and says it's much harder now even than it was before, and it was hard enough, but because of the extra sanctions, it's sort of really testing people out
Yeah.
in Cuba. Yeah, so you're
Well,
right.
I think it's become so difficult
Oh, it's
that
raining
people
It's raining
in
again.
Cuba, that people in Cuba are kind of trying to talk to their government, saying, "Look, this doesn't work for us." And the government has come out. I mean, things like with the COVID stuff, where people don't have access to needles and all that kind of stuff.
He's not sitting on money though, Nadia. I don't know. I really don't know what his story is, but he's
that?
actually pretty poor. This guy on Instagram, Raw Tropical Living on Instagram, he doesn't really have any money at all.
Well, you
and-
don't know how much money he has. He's not expending a lot of money,
No,
for sure.
his mother died recently, so I guess he probably gets money from that. But he was in Costa Rica before that. But anyway, I'm not really sure what... I imagine everywhere now it's much harder. Like, it's much harder to come to Australia now, isn't it, Didi?
Yeah, much harder.
About 5 or 6 years ago, it was easier. Now they're charging...
Well, 5 or 6 years ago even, it was starting to be bad.
Yeah.
Basically, this government has made it worse and worse.
Yeah.
They've made it so difficult. They've turned being an asylum seeker into a profit making.
Yes, into a profit making
Yeah.
thing. They've turned
giving
being an
asylum into
seeker
profit
into
making.
profit making. You have to
Yeah.
pay like what, 50,000.
Yeah, yeah,
Didi?
it
Some
costs an
crazy.
insane
If you don't
amount
get
of
thrown
money.
in detention, and you're doing it the legal way, you're charged like tens of thousands of dollars.
And
It's
when you get
disgusting.
thrown into detention, you basically aren't ever going to get out.
No, you're never going to get out.
I mean, the whole thing
They
with
want to
Manas
drive you
and-
insane and make you an
and
example.
Nauru.
Yeah,
It was just-
they want to make people an example.
Yeah, it was just punitive we will keep you in prison on an island far away
I would really
forever.
clamp down on it because
Yeah.
I was trying to get a job
And what
over there.
disgusting behavior
I know.
that is.
So Nadia said how I'd really clamped down on it because I was trying to get jobs over there in 2000, in the 2000s. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, Dee Dee was lucky when she moved over here.
I got here in 1980.
and you were able
so-
to do a free degree and everything, weren't you?
Yeah.
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 In the 80s, in late 70s and 80s, you could do university degrees for nothing. That was thanks
That
to
was the
Gough
Whitlam reforms.
Yeah.
Before the Hawke government
For the
started
Hawke government.
putting prices on it.
Yeah.
All of a sudden, it was a loan, and you had to
He
start
was not a
paying it back.
neoliberal, Gough Whitlam, and that's another reason the CIA helped get rid of him. Hey, Dee Dee.
Yeah. Well, I don't know that was particularly a
There's
reason.
I think there's a whole host of things because you know, corporations, U.S. corporations have been able to come in here and
Oh
their
yeah.
stupid
If
fucking health insurance
you're an
bullshit.
investor or an entrepreneur, you can walk in here and get residency,
Yeah.
no trouble at all.
Yeah, and you can buy up houses.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah,
And that's a huge thing internationally. People buying up houses and
yeah,
yeah, it's just awful.
yeah. I mean, until everybody's secure and stable, no one is secure and stable. Basically,
Yeah.
it's really like that. Like I'll never feel like it's just sort of, while there's the huge disparities of
Of income.
and security
And wealth.
and no people, some have healthcare and others don't, and all of that. Nobody's secure. This whole shit show of a fucking capitalist system has to end.
Yeah.
It just has to.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, what they call small commodity capitalism, that's not bad. You know, I
Yeah.
don't know if that's
Yeah.
basically when somebody makes something and is able to sell it. You know, if
Yeah,
you
and they don't
if
have
you
workers.
If you are making shoes and selling them, you know, that's small commodity capitalism.
The thing is that I don't think, because of the nature of people, I don't think it would ever remain like that.
Yeah,
You know what I mean? It would be great
unless
if you
it's
could do
made
that.
so that you can't do it any other way.
What are you, anarcho-syndicalist, Dee Dee?
Yeah.
Do you want to explain what that is? Well, I'm going to make a cup of tea.
Okay.
People probably know what that is.
They
but
probably know what an
you
anarcho-syndicalist
can
is.
talk about
It's
it anyway.
basically somebody who believes in that you can have large factories and large productive ability, but that should be controlled by the people who are working there. And anarchists basically agree on certain rules and things that work for people as long as they're working, like, you know, where you need to have roads or you have education and that kind of stuff. You can have standards, you know, but or at least I believe you can. The syndicalist part is that notion. It's something like the old Soviets. The notion of Soviets was basically people who could control and work in the factory, a factory or some major means of production. But I really believe in as much self-reliance as you can on a regional basis. And I believe that, you know, people in a local area should get together and be able to decide what they want to do, but coordinate that with other local areas on a regional basis. And then some regional controls could be coordinated on a national basis. And that's a little bit like the work democracy that was in Nepal or China at one point. Yeah, that's my idea. Expatriate Expatriate Tube are pretty doubtful because they don't want you unless you're sitting on money. Yeah, expatriate hubs. Yes, basically that's true. Howard really clamped down on it. He did. John Howard was a disaster. Basically, all of that came after the Hawke-Keating government was a real disaster. But the Hawke-Keating government itself was a disaster. They turned their back on so many of Whitlam's reforms and tried to basically have a neoliberal as opposed to neoconservative government. And so they were appealing to capitalism, and they thought this was a winning formula and a way to succeed electorally. Nadia hasn't said anything now for a little bit. Nadia hasn't said anything now for just a little bit. I've got caddies rubbing their face, rubbing their tails in my face. It's exciting. My little babies. They tend to find the easiest way to get me to do things is actually get onto my computer table and rub against my face. And it's hysterical. Little guy, particularly Aoife, comes up and he touches noses with me, and he's so sweet. Yes, he does. And butter wouldn't melt in his mouth. He's hysterically funny. Let's see. Nadia says, I'm still here, but I think the stream is a couple of minutes behind me for me. Yeah, look, the stream is, I don't know if it's behind for you, but it's, what? Oh, Trish says you might want to refresh your page. It might work. Let's see. Yes. We'll have good thoughts that you can get out of there. We wish we could help you. We don't have any money. We can't employ you. I can't even employ my daughter, who unfortunately is too old to get any kind of family connection thing. You can't do family things anymore. And that's really sad. There used to be, a family used to be a basis for visas, but it isn't anymore. Let's see, where am I?
But I'm sure if we had a lot of money, we'd be able to get it.
Oh yeah, no worries, no worries.
If you're rolling in dough, they find a way, don't they?
Yeah, if you're rolling in dough, they find a way. Money is always welcome. Isn't it, Trish? Yeah. Yeah, in fact, if you're an investor or have a business, you can get people over here really quick. And that's permanent. It's a permanent visa that you can get for people.
There were some American celebrities kind of came over and started living here.
Yeah. Celebrities are welcome. What's that, Trishy? I don't know. It's raining again. Trish just said. We love the rain. And it's been raining lately. It's been really lovely this winter. We've had lots of water coming from the sky, and this is really important. We had a fire here a couple of years ago. Not here on this site, but across the river from us. So pretty close. What are you doing, Trishy? Trish, what are you doing? Oh, okay. I'm dealing with my inventories a little bit. I'm dealing with my inventories in the game a little bit. It's 30-35 here during the day. Oh, that's really hot. Spain is just letting the Spanish Civil War expatriates die off because their ancestry affairs have to do with that. She said Spain is just letting the Spanish Civil War expatriates die off because their ancestry affairs have to do with that. I don't quite understand that. Is this game where you're supposed to be terraforming an alien planet? No, it's you just explore alien planets. And you go around and you look at stuff, you do collect things, you can occasionally make bases and that kind of thing, but you're just really flying around the place. This is a planet where I've got a little base, and this is my ship, and I'll jump in my ship and go off somewhere. Fly into the sky and off to different planets. And I'm supposed to find planetary minerals, which I will go into space to do. Oh, and that's broken the game. Oh no. Oh, gone. The game crashed again. Yeah.
It seems to be crashing a lot more.
Yeah, it's having a hard time. I'm really going to have to switch.
Yeah.
Before we do another one, I'm going to have to switch
Yeah.
computers. And maybe I will have to look at least upgrading what drive my
30 to
operating
35
system
during
is
the
on.
day.
What?
30 to 35 during the day, that's awful. I often think about poor non-human animals inside these apartments in these places that are really hot, and I just think, God, how do they cope? I wonder how many people come home and find dogs and cats dead in their apartments from heat. Yeah, that's what I mean, yeah. And Nadi said, my family came from Spain to Cuba in the 1880s before the Spanish Civil War, so I'm ineligible. They were bad about the Cuban Revolution, but I recognize they were wrong. Hi, Swifty. Hi, Swift. Hello. Hi, Swift. Excuse me. There's a lot of pollen starting to happen in the air, which always plays up with my upper respiratory airways and my eyes and nose. It's not. Even though it's not spring yet, but they start up early. The acacia trees. Anyway, it'll be interesting to see how many COVID cases there are tomorrow. I hope it all settles down. So, so from the U.S. Embassy of Kabul on Twitter says, this is 6 hours ago, based on the recommendations of our diplomatic, military and intelligence teams, the President of the United States has authorized the deployment of approximately 5,000 U.S. troops to ensure an orderly and safe drawdown of U.S. Embassy and other allied personnel. I don't believe that that's going to happen. Yeah.
Isn't it wonderful the way that works?
And then we have conveyed to the Taliban reps in Doha that any action on their part that puts U.S. personnel or our mission at risk will be met with a swift and strong Department of Defense response. Tracy Jacobson is in charge of a whole of government effort to process, transport and relocate SIV applicants and other Afghan allies. Our hearts go out to the brave Afghan men and women who are now at risk. We are working non-stop to evacuate thousands who helped our cause. Okay. Excuse me. Are they kites? Is that kites in the Didi? Look at their cover photo. What are they? Afghan kites?
Oh yeah.
What does Nadia say here? Well, I didn't think 35 would sound that hot to you. 35 degrees Celsius? That's pretty hot. Isn't that Celsius? Nadia's talking in Celsius, isn't
Well,
she?
if it's Fahrenheit, then it's really cold.
Yeah, really cold, yeah. No, 35 is pretty hot. And particularly if
It's
it was
hot
in
for
an
us.
apartment building in New York
We're
City.
Tasmanians.
Yeah. Anything over 24 is hot to me. 24 degrees Celsius is hot to me, like just being in Tasmania, and it's pretty cool here most of the time. And then in summer we'll get like about 6 or 7 days that are very hot, like 33, and one time we got 38, which is very hot. But luckily this house we live in is pretty insulated, so even on a day like 38, it's pretty okay inside the house, isn't it?
Yeah, yeah.
And when we get, we're getting in some upstairs. When we get we have two. When we get some upstairs double glazed windows, it'll be even cooler, I hope. And let's see. Well, I think. And then Nadia says, I heard there was a new lockdown happening because Delta was getting out of control. Yeah. Lockdowns all over New South Wales, I think now, isn't it?
Yeah. The whole of New South Wales is locked down.
We don't have that
basically.
problem, fortunately, not touch wood, here in Tasmania, because we're an island. So when it first started, we just pulled up the drawbridge because it's we kind of eventually we pulled up the drawbridge, and then nobody could come in, and we don't really allow people in unless they quarantine now. And we had one person who managed to slip through the whole quarantine thing and everything
But he was caught straight away.
He was caught straight away. But in New South Wales, it's kind of gotten out of control, and there's like about 400 plus cases every day. But they're doing contact tracing, and they've got these really strict lockdowns now because, I know that there's a lot of, lockdowns. But actually, in Australia, it's worked really well, hasn't it, Didi?
It has.
And
Well, basically, that's the reason we've been COVID-free until recently.
Yeah, the problem.
We've had periods where COVID may have entered, and usually by air, by somebody or other, and gotten into the community, but very quickly between lockdowns and contact tracing and people really cooperating.
Yeah. And the vaccine.
It's been stopped. It's like we were in Queensland for Trish's mum when she was dying.
Yeah.
And they had lockdowns there because there was a few cases up around Brisbane. How many cases were there? There were like 6 or 7.
Yes.
And everybody had to go out with masks if you were outside. Our area wasn't like a full-on lockdown, but everybody needed to wear masks all the time, that they were outside, and you had to log in if you went anywhere, and that kind of thing. And they ended that. They found all the people were treated or quarantined until they weren't infectious anymore, and that was the end of it.
Yeah.
It took about 2 weeks or something like that. But Australia's been really good at that. And if you do that public health stuff, basically you can be pretty much COVID-free.
And
then you don't have to do lockdowns. It's like Tasmania's been COVID-free for how many months? It's been like months and months.
It's been
nearly a year.
Yeah, it's been a year.
It's been about a year, and so for most of the last year, nobody's had to worry about masks or anything else.
Yeah, it's been, and businesses have been able to go on, the ones that don't require any interstate sort of people visiting or whatever. They've done really well, haven't they? And during that time, businesses like cafes were doing takeaway stuff, when there was some, in the beginning, weren't they, Didi?
When people were trying to be good and we were trying to
like people
eliminate
were doing,
any
we
COVID
still do
from
social
the state.
distancing. Like we still try, and they still encourage, if you go into a supermarket, to do social distancing. They do all the hygiene stuff, but people don't have to wear masks at the moment because we have such good border control.
But ever since the New South Wales kind of outbreak and the Delta stuff, they've been much more into making sure people do their contact tracing.
Yeah.
Whenever you go anywhere, you have to sign in. You don't necessarily have to use apps and that kind of thing. But if you're not going to do that, you have to physically sign in to say that that you were there.
Yeah.
Yeah, for those people who are paranoid about electronic devices with contact tracing.
Yeah. Anyway, people have been pretty cooperative. Overall, you might see on the news, people pushing back and stuff, but that's actually a small amount of people. Australia's not really. I might turn my mic up just a little bit. Which one is my LED thing there, Didi? Which one is it? The top one or the bottom or
What's
the middle
that?
one? That the LED, the readout, the output there.
For
Is that-
you,
Yeah, is that the second one?
you're actually above that. You can't see you at the
can
moment. Let's
'cause I
see.
can't tell if my thing is. Whoops.
Let me.
If you can show me, just because I like to keep an eye on it, so I'm not talking too loud or talking too soft or whatever.
Where's yours?
Is it that one? Is it that middle one?
Oh, it's this one here, the middle one.
The middle one, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, that's good. Anyway, what was I saying?
Okay. Anyway,
What
I've
was I
got to
saying
go to
about,
this little planet and scan flora. See if I can identify flora.
Is he okay? I think he wants something to eat, did he?
Yeah, he's okay.
Is there
He's
food
got
there?
some food.
Okay. Can you move that keyboard out of his way?
Well, it's not in his way. It's as most out of his way as I can get it. This whole thing is clear.
Oh, okay.
That whole thing is clear.
Oh, that's good.
Unless I don't have a keyboard at all, then I mean, the cats control basically
Didi's desk.
70% of my desk.
yeah. Yeah. That's funny. Anyway, so it's been pretty good. Even though we've got a sort of a conservative government here in Tasmania, state government, they kind of listened to the other major party when it came to the Labor Party here in Tasmania is pretty good.
We also have a government where the upper house is mostly independents.
What's that, Didi?
The upper house is mostly independents.
Yeah, which is
What
really
would be the
handy.
equivalent of, I guess, a state senate in most of the U.S.
You know what we find really disturbing is there was this politician called Sue Hickey, and she was Speaker of the House in Tasmania's Parliament, and she was really, really good, and she helped get through some trans legislation that Didi helped write in 2019, and without her it wouldn't have passed because she was the kind of like the deciding person, wasn't she, Didi?
Yeah, it was balanced enough that she was the deciding vote.
Anyway, so her party they did their best to get her out. Like she decided to resign, but they were going to kick her out anyway. Did she resign?
She resigned from the party.
The party, yes, the party.
But that was because they were so hostile. That was
Yeah.
because they denied her pre-selection,
Yes,
which
that's
meant
right.
that she couldn't run
Yeah.
as a liberal
Yeah.
in the next election.
So anyway, she ended up, so she wasn't in Parliament anymore, and then she ran for mayor of Glenorchy because she'd been mayor of Hobart, and we'd actually met her before she was elected Speaker of the House.
She was actually during the
She was
marriage equality thing. She was flying the rainbow flag
yes.
from the council building.
So she's very, even though she's kind of like, what would you call her really? She's sort of
Well, she calls herself small L liberal, meaning
small
that
L
she's
liberal.
socially liberal,
Yeah.
but she believes in capitalism, basically.
Anyway, so she's really, really lovely person, and really cares about the unhoused. You know, she's really fantastic with that. So you would think that people, when they have a choice between a sort of an actual liberal, like a conservative politician,
she was really fighting for homelessness.
Yeah, but she was running against She was running against a few people in this Glenorchy mayor election. You know, where she wanted to be mayor of Glenorchy, and that's a suburb in Hobart, and she didn't win. And I said to Dee Dee, it seems like anybody who wants to do stuff for the most vulnerable, like the homeless or whatever, won't even get it. Like it's almost like people don't want to elect somebody that's going to do stuff for vulnerable people, and I find that very disturbing.
Yeah.
I don't know how conservative, Dee Dee, is Glenorchy.
Glenorchy is an interesting mix. It's an area where there's a lot of ethnic minority people there.
Right. Well, then
Glenorchy, I mean, you look at there, and there's a lot of Asian people. There's a lot of people from Islamic majority countries.
I just can't understand why they.
I mean, that's one of the reasons Ella Haddad does so well.
Did he? I don't understand why. Why didn't she get elected? Like, how could you not want somebody like that?
I don't know, and I have no idea how Beck Enders was the mayor of our area of Huonville, city or Huon Valley Council, and she's nothing to look to write home about. Yeah. She was running for the Liberal Party, and she didn't make it, so she ended up as mayor down there. I think there's a lot of ethnic minority people who are conservative. I'm not sure why that is. It really usually doesn't suit their interests.
No.
But it's just that way.
The thing is, voting for anybody voting for apart from businesses and corporations, it doesn't serve anybody's interest. Voting for conservative parties,
Yeah.
And yet they do.
Yeah.
Nadia was saying, I'm not sure it's the people who are voting that way. As Stalin astutely observed, it's not who votes, it's who counts the votes. I don't know. Is that implying a sort of an electoral fraud thing? Because we don't seem to. Unless it's something that's going on in an incredibly clever way. Yeah. We have like paper ballots, and we have a lot of oversight with our elections. Like it's pretty transparent.
Basically in our election, every member, every party has the right to assign scrutineers.
Yeah.
And they look over the shoulders of the people who are counting votes.
Yeah. And, it's not like the US. We actually have a sort of don't we, Didi? It's a really big deal if there's any sort of question mark over some, that just doesn't happen really, does it?
Yeah, yeah.
But
I've done some of those jobs. But
what disturbs me though, Didi? Mum used to do some of those scrutineering things. What disturbs me though, it doesn't match up with the exit polling, and that is something that I don't understand.
Yeah.
And that's what makes me worry but the thing is that because we have paper ballots and because we have so many scrutineers, and it's a really, like in Australia, people take voting very seriously, don't they, Didi?
Yeah.
There is no,
there's a lot of people who take, not everybody takes it seriously,
well,
but there's a lot of people who do.
Yeah.
And they're often the people who are involved in all that kind of stuff.
But like, I just, it worries me that the last election, we were so shocked, the federal election, where Scott Morrison got in, and it polling-wise didn't look like it was going that way. Yeah. And I'm not even sure if the exit polls even indicated it was going to go that way. And we almost dropped, I almost had a panic attack.
People
honestly,
were all
it was so
set.
Shocking.
So many people around Australia were like they had their bottle of wine or whatever, their drinks to celebrate, their bits of champagne, to celebrate the fact that this awful conservative government would get chucked out,
Yeah.
and
And they got
ended
in
up
again.
drinking it
And it,
in
yes,
in,
and it's
in
not even.
sorrow, you know.
They didn't even. It didn't even get in like just a little bit. Like it got in pretty easily. Didn't.
Yeah, yeah.
And I can almost like the next federal election is about 10 months away,
Yeah.
and I can almost guarantee that fucker is going to get, or is it him, or will they put in somebody else? Will it be him?
Yeah,
Scott
I don't
Morrison,
know.
will he run again? Yeah.
What, he'll run again,
Yeah.
sure.
So he'll.
He's-
I'm sure he'll either get in again or Peter Dutton. There'll either be a spill just before the election, and Peter Dutton.
There's no reason for a spill because he's still in charge.
But
And
can't they
he
say
won
though?
the last time.
But can't they say though? Well, he's done a terrible job with the vaccinations, so therefore he's going to
They
lose
could,
badly.
but his popularity would have to be really bad.
Well, that's what I'm wondering.
for them
Is
to
is
do
his
it.
popularity bad? I don't know. I should look it up.
Well, it's not great.
Yeah.
But he doesn't have to call an election until
No.
it suits him, really. This is the other thing.
Let's see how he's
Australian
polling.
elections, you know, there's a certain thing where they can't call an election until a certain point. But once they hit that point,
Oh, it says he's.
they have like a couple of years or a year and a half in which they can decide when they want to have it, and so they'll do it when it suits them. He's not going to have an election anytime soon because he's on the nose at the moment.
Okay, so so he, according to news.com.au, he's polling not so great now. He's taken a big hit. His personal approval ratings have plunged into negative territory amid growing frustration over the bungled vaccine rollout. An exclusive news poll conducted by the Australian is a Murdoch Press, aren't they, Diddy? The Australian?
Yeah,
I used to do. I used
think
to
it
work
is.
at a thing that did news poll. Shows the public confidence in the Prime Minister's handling of the pandemic has almost halved since April last year to 48%.
well, he's done such an awful job,
Yeah.
and it's so apparent, and we're paying for it now.
Yeah.
You know.
So anyway, I don't know. With the two-party preferred vote remaining unchanged from the previous.
We've
news
basically
poll.
got a COVID pandemic happening, and the population, an awful lot of people aren't vaccinated, and it's not because they don't want to be, it's because the vaccine rollout, that the vaccines haven't been available, and the whole thing's been such a shit show.
Yeah, so I don't know. I mean, see, that's what I mean. They might think, oh, that might be an excuse for the LNP to put in
Dutton.
someone
But-
else. Don't you think?
But people don't like Dutton, and
That doesn't
I'm
matter.
talking about even
Who liked,
liberals don't like
but
Dutton.
who liked? Did people like Scott Morrison? I don't know. Did they?
Oh, he's good. He's a smarmy shit, and he appeals to all the Christians. And I don't know that Dutton appeals to any of the Christians.
Yeah.
Dutton appeals to the fascists.
Anyway, he'll probably get in again. So anyway,
Dutton is a thug.
give me a few minutes to stop by the store. Okay. Nadia's stopping by the store. Anyway, there's a lovely rain here happening. It's so lovely. We need to kind of get some leaves out of the gutter though, because it's kind of spilling over the gutters. Some of it anyway.
Yeah.
One day we'll get another tank and we'll have loads and loads of water. Hey,
yes,
Didi.
that'll be lovely.
Is that a little turtle, Didi?
Yeah, it's kind of like a little turtley thing. There's
It's
something
sort of
down there, but
it's
I don't
almost
know.
like a little mower. It's kind of kicking up smoke and dirt or something.
Yeah. He's a funny little guy. My job here on this planet is just to scan things to try and get a record of the biology.
I love the way they talk about this. The Taliban and Afghan government talk of transition power as country remains on the brink of Taliban takeover. What do they expect? The Taliban had already taken over most of the country.
Yeah.
Of course they're going to take over. You
Yeah.
know?
Yeah, I mean,
Anyway,
the US
that's
had
their
already
fucking
lost.
business. That's their fucking business
The
anyway.
Taliban were winning when the US was there.
That's their business anyway.
Yeah.
I love the way we all the Western
Oh,
social media
the Taliban.
constantly
We've got to fix it.
commentary on you know, what other countries and how their internal political situation is.
Yeah,
You know?
yeah. Oh,
Just fucking get out and let them work it out. Christ. It's like the mafia. Once you invite them in, do you know what I mean? Once they're in,
it
they won't
is.
get out. They're worse
yeah, once
than
you
the mafia.
invite them in,
Worse
you
than the
can't get
mafia.
rid of them. Yeah. Mostly calm. Oh, this is a nice planet. Satan Prime.
Hey?
This planet is called Satan Prime. Yes, he's a very funny
We'll
little
probably
guy.
have to
this.
shift some water, I reckon, Dee Dee, tomorrow.
I don't know there's any room.
Oh, wow.
I think we're pretty full up on water at this point,
Right.
which is exciting for us.
Yes.
Because we're on tank water, when all our tanks are filled, and because in the summer it can get dry,
Yeah.
and then it's really hard for to water all our fruit trees
Yeah, the fruit
Yeah.
trees.
and our garden and stuff. It's really exciting when we have lots of water.
Yeah, really.
There's no caves. Where are the caves?
Anybody who's watching who'd like to come in and say hello, please feel free to do so, because there's
Yeah.
a few people watching. Or maybe you're just watching No Man's Sky, and that's fine too. Just
Yeah.
whatever you're interested
It's
in.
fun. It's lovely music in No Man's
Excuse me.
Sky. Don't you think?
Yeah, I haven't. Well, I can't really hear it because I can't hear what's happening in the.
What's that?
I can't hear it.
Oh, yeah. But you know what
Excuse
it's
me.
like.
What's that?
But you know what it's like.
Yeah, I know what it's like. Yeah.
Oh, those are impulse beans.
That's really pretty, isn't it?
Yeah.
Diddy. I can hear the frogs outside. I wonder what it would be like to have like red earth everywhere like that.
I don't know. Oh, crashed again.
I wonder how that would affect you, having red instead of say green or something.
Yeah.
Although they do have green trees there.
That's the thing. You get red or blue sometimes. Bluegrass.
Oh yeah, bluegrass.
And sometimes you get bubbles coming up from the planet.
Mm.
Oh. And I'm very sorry if this keeps crashing for anybody
You should be.
I should be. And we get to see the stars in the galaxy once again.
Probably, Didi. I think, let's see, we've been going since, what is it? When did we start? Was it 8:30?
Yeah, we think we started about, was it 8:30 or was it 8? We started pretty early.
Yeah, we did, didn't we?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's true. Let me have a look, I forget.
Is anybody talking?
Oh, well, Nadia's gone into a shop, and, let's see. Part 1 started, was started 3 hours ago. So yeah, we've been going about 3 hours. 8:30, 9:30, 10:30. Yeah, something like that anyway. Excuse me. I bet you those 5,000 troops, you know, for quote-unquote safe drawdown, I bet you they don't go home. Did he?
Yeah. I don't know. They're doing more and more stuff with off on, like where they use mercenaries or they just sit offshore and bomb the shit out of people.
Yeah.
It's hard to control the resources that way, though. Maybe they can have a few CIA black ops people working with the Taliban to sell opium. Yeah?
Say that again, Didi. Sorry.
Maybe they can have a few black CIA people working with the Taliban to sell opium or something.
Black ops, you mean? Black ops people.
Well, kind of, like...
Not black people.
Not black people. Black ops type people.
Because that would... Yeah, black ops people, yeah.
Yeah.
Sure. I mean, they don't want to leave that behind, so they don't want to lose control.
Well, they don't
that.
mind. They've left it behind elsewhere.
What, the opium?
Opium fields.
Where would they get another supply of that?
Well, I don't know. The next war.
Well, I don't know. They'd have to. It'll be a while before they'll have control of another opium field. Yeah.
Well, maybe they'll end up going back to Thailand or something.
Oh, I don't think they'll ever want to give up that Afghanistan opium field poppies. Those opium poppies.
Why not?
I don't know. I just don't feel like they ever will, because they can basically, because who's going to stop them from using it? Do you know what I mean? There's no one's going to kick them out of there.
Yeah.
You are my sunshine. I haven't seen that latest Empire Files thing about the CIA. Did you watch it, Didi?
No.
I'll have to watch that. I was thinking though, it's almost 11 o'clock now. I was thinking, it's 10 to 11.
And you
Maybe
want to go to bed.
No, I was thinking maybe at about 11:15.
Yeah.
Because I'm starting to get a little tired.
Oh, no.
I know, what a piker.
She's piking out.
I'm being a piker again. What's wrong with me?
Yeah. I don't know. What is wrong with you?
I have no excuse, Didi.
You don't.
I have none. Oh no, that's awful. Look at this.
What?
Women in Afghanistan and those living as refugees in Pakistan or Iran have become so accustomed to war that they have often replaced traditional motifs of flowers
Oh, no.
and birds in their rug weaving with images of war, including drones, tanks, and guns. Oh my God.
Oh, God.
That's hideous.
Yeah, it is.
Jesus God. Why? Oh, that's really awful, isn't it?
It is.
Here, have a lovely rug with a drone on it.
Yeah. We've got... Yeah. A
May
rug
you-
with drones.
May you not be bombed. Like we are.
Still life with drones.
Isn't that appalling? That's
Yeah.
almost like onion material.
Yeah.
Wowza. It's funny, isn't it, how Jimmy Carter, even he's 95 and he's still, like, they have a picture of him working on some house, you know, the Habitat for Humanity houses, and he's
Yeah.
got this big kind of where he's probably hit his head somewhere and he's sort of, bled underneath his eye. There's this big red patch around his eye, and here he is kind of doing work on this, house sort of thing.
Yeah.
And I wonder if he just feels so bad with any of the crappy things that he might have done in his presidency that he's sort of trying to do penance for, trying to build houses for people,
Yeah.
that were needed. Do you know what I mean?
Maybe.
Because he's so, like, at 95 to be doing that, that's amazing.
Yes. That is.
I sort of wonder, like, what's, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Oh, here's Carly, Northeast Eaton. How are you,
Hello.
Carly?
Hi.
How's the archaeological digging going? Oh, hi everyone, just passing through, stopping quickly to say hi and send my love. Love to you too, Carly.
Hi.
I hope one day you get to stay a bit longer.
Yeah. That'd be nice.
You let us know what you're up to in the comments section. Yes, I'm very well, so is Dee Dee.
Yes.
Let us know what you're up to in the comments section, if you're what you've been up to in the digging and all that kind of thing. Must be a bit hot out in the sun there, because I imagine gets a little bit hot now in the UK, wouldn't it? I haven't been looking at the temperatures in the UK lately. Excuse me. Roman site, ground like concrete. Oh my. Do you ever get sort of that tennis elbow from kind of just digging in, in hard ground.
Where is she at
It's
the
a
moment?
Roman site, ground like concrete in the UK. Yeah, because I remember I was digging with my right hand too much, and the ground here can be very, very hard in summer,
Yeah,
like
it's
it's got
clay.
clay, and I got sort of a bit of a tennis elbow thing happening in my right arm.
Yes, you've had a lot of problems with the poor little wrists. And
Well, my wrists were
hands.
fine. It's just around my elbow. It kind of and it still hasn't really recovered, but it's probably not too bad.
Yeah.
I just ignore it now. But if I want to if I want to dig in, if I want to plant that flowering eucalyptus, I better do it before the ground starts drying up.
Yes.
Golfers and tennis elbows and carpal tunnel is standard. Oh no, that's not good. Huh. And the knees. Oh yeah, yeah. You wear a hat and all that sort of thing, though. You're very good with your skin.
I hope.
Is it hot at the moment? And are you up near Wales? I can't remember exactly whereabouts you. Yeah, hot. Yeah. We've been doing quite a few live streams lately. I don't know why. It just
Because it's nice to talk
it's not.
to people.
Yeah, I don't know
And
why
we
we've
need
been.
the connection.
Yeah, I don't know why we've been. There's a string of them lately. I think it's probably just because we. I mean, it's really nice just to hang out with people and
Where's the
Southeast
bag?
Suffolk County. Okay then, yeah. And how's the COVID going in the UK? I wonder. Is it Diddy? Is it declining? I haven't been able to watch John Campbell's
Oh,
YouTube channel
I haven't
lately.
seen it for a little while either. I think I've been feeling a little overwhelmed with bad
Yeah.
news lately.
Carly said, "I'm so good with sun protection. I have to take vitamin D." Well, that's good. I think it's good everybody takes vitamin D. I often go on about that,
Yes.
taking vitamin D supplements.
Yeah.
That's good. Any exciting news? Have you found anything in particular? Just recently, they were in sort of central Queensland. I think it was central Queensland. They found this skeleton of this
Giant.
giant dinosaur. They've got
An
he or
avian
she
dinosaur.
Yeah, has a 7-meter wingspan, and flying dinosaur, and I forget the name of it, but she has a really large mouth, basically almost like a head with huge wings.
Very, very like a pterodactyl. Yeah.
Yeah, I'll look it up because it was pretty amazing.
Like a really big pterodactyl.
I remember there used to be in this museum in Brisbane, and it might still be there. It was on the. It was sort of in the. It was just on the, not far from the Royal Brisbane Hospital, and they used to have a dinosaur in the middle of the museum, like a brontosaurus.
Ah, yeah.
All sort of assembled, just the bones, kind of thing. Really amazing. That always used to kind of. I always used to find that fascinating.
Yeah.
Let's see.
A lot of people like
Central
dinosaurs and find them fascinating.
Queensland.
Dinosaurs.
7-meter dinosaur. Opalized dinosaur bones. Wow.
Wow.
Opalized. And then there's a new species.
Why can't I get
This
this?
is a new species of dinosaurs up to
Oh.
30 meters long, confirmed as largest ever found in Australia. A massive titanosaur. Look, Diddy.
Yeah.
Which lived more than
Wow.
90 million years ago, was discovered in
Titanosaur.
southwest Queensland. 90 meters long. Oh my God!
He's kind of amazing.
Can you imagine how much effort it would take for? Like, how big was his heart? Hey, or was
Yeah.
her heart? So a new species of dinosaur discovered in southwest Queensland has been officially recognised as the largest ever found in Australia and among the biggest in the world. Australotitan cooperensis, a plant-eating dinosaur of the family known as titanosaurs, likely lived about 92 million to 96 million years ago during the Cretaceous period. Does it
I'm
say
really
that?
impressed.
Oh, 30 meters. Did I say 90? 30 meters long, sorry. 30
Yeah.
meters long. And it stood 5 meters to 6.5 meters from the ground to its hip, had a very long neck and tail, making it similar to in appearance to well-known dinosaurs such as Brachiosaurus and Apatosaurus. Anyway, that's pretty amazing.
Wow.
But that's not the one I was looking for.
No. But he's pretty specky anyway.
Yeah, really. I don't know where that is. 7-meter wingspan. Can you imagine somebody like that descending on you? 7-meter wingspan.
Yes, I
Wow.
can, and I wouldn't like it.
30 meters long, bloody hell. Yeah, really. 30 meters long. That's like that's like one and a half the length of our house, isn't it?
Yeah.
Oh, no, it wouldn't let me get there.
Is anybody still with us?
Yes, yeah. I think Nadia might be robbing the store. Let's see. A discovery of pterosaur fossil shows. Is that the one? Yeah, this is the one, I think. A discovery of pterosaur fossil shows prehistoric reptile was close to a real-life dragon. Pterosaur named Tapungaka shawi. Estimated wingspan of 7 meters. The reptile once soared above the vast ancient Aromanga Sea, which covered much of western Queensland during the age of the dinosaurs.
Wow.
Yeah,
I really think that's impressive.
yeah,
The lower jawbone is incredible. A fearsome beast, yes.
yeah. Yeah. So it was essentially just a skull with a long neck bolted onto a pair of wings. Yeah. That's kind of crazy, eh? It's amazing to think there are all these dinosaurs running around this country.
Yeah.
What's not Carly said you'd adore us, Nadia. Oh yeah.
What's that?
Oh hi Nadia, we thought you were robbing the store. Let's see. And Holly said Australia's on her bucket list. Let's see. What's Oz Nadia? I look it up and I see Nadia Comaneci. Not the Nadia I was looking for.
No. I wonder what is Nadia Comaneci doing these days?
Yeah, I was wondering that too. Yeah. Oh, she's
She
looking
is
really
really-
healthy, isn't she?
What?
She's looking really healthy.
Ah,
See?
yeah. Yeah.
That's nice. I hope she's well. I remember her, like, she was doing all these amazing, there she is there, see? I can't show people because I don't have control
I
of the
think they
computer.
really made her.
See, Dee Dee?
What?
She's looking very healthy and happy, isn't she?
Yeah.
So that's good. Huh. We were just talking about dinosaurs, Nadia. There's a dinosaur was discovered in Australia in the has 7 meter wingspan, and it's just amazing, like to how big that is, and a very big head. They must have like it. What a bloody spectacle that would be, Dee Dee,
Yeah.
at feeding time. Icky. I wonder if they did that thing that the eagles do, and they just kind of descend on. They'd kill
Oh,
you as
God.
you were like the wouldn't they?
Jesus,
Just on
darling.
descent.
Yeah. Yeah.
But wouldn't it be like it would kind of be fascinating though to just see
To see
like
them
those animals
feeding.
in real life? No, ick no. No, just to see them in real life.
Oh, yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
Like, wouldn't that be amazing?
Yeah. Yeah.
Did they? The pterosaurs had tiny legs. Ah. Tiny legs. So they'd have, yes, obviously they'd have to, so they'd have tiny legs they'd have to be very powerful legs to land, wouldn't they? I wonder if they could walk around very well with those big wings, Dee Dee.
I don't know. Oh,
I think the dino you were talking about is Brizzy Museum was called Elliot. I got my daughter's a T-shirt. Oh, wow. Yeah, it was I just remember it being right in the middle of the museum. I wonder if that museum's still there. Yeah. It's funny how you get sort of a bit like I grew up in Brisbane and I left I left for a while and went to Melbourne in the late 80s, and I came back in the 90s, and then I left again. I left to go to the Gold Coast in late 90s, and then we left to come down here in 2007. So, but every time, like, I haven't really felt connected really to Brisbane since I left in sort of when I went to Melbourne. Really, it wasn't really the same when I came back. Not that you expect it to be the same, but it was sort of all the kind of the places, the haunts and stuff, like the alternate sort of area in West End where I used to live, and Highgate Hill and Hill End, all sort of changed a fair bit, and we're no longer. And then every time we went back, when we go up to Brisbane to visit Mum, you know, sometimes we'd go to the Gold Coast and we'd go up to Brisbane to have a look, and it would just become more and more alien to me. It's funny how, you know, you can sort of think that a place is, you know, your real home, and, you know, and you're very, very attached to it, and you can't imagine living elsewhere, and then you go away for a few years and then it doesn't feel
It's
like that
gone.
anymore.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's weird. And now I sort of feel like Tasmania is my home, and I love it here, and I feel like I love it more than even I loved Brisbane, really. And I never liked the Gold Coast, but yeah, you know, and I sort of feel much more attached to here. There's a lot about it, you know, the cooler weather, and it's so beautiful, and all that kind of stuff. All those different things just, I don't know, suits me much better being here.
Yeah. It is better. there's parts of Brisbane that I enjoyed,
So
but
like
a lot of it that I didn't.
Carly said, was a great museum. Nadia said, I watched a bunch of documentaries saying that pterosaurs, is that how you pronounce it, pterosaurs, or is the P quiet, is P silent?
Pterosaurs, I think.
Oh, pterosaurs, I'm sorry. Pterosaurs here and pterosaurs. Pterosaurs, yeah, walked four-legged style on their wingtips. Oh, wow, four-legged style on their wingtips and launched with the strength of their wings. Wow. And Carly said, whoa, it's a lift-off, would probably knock you off your feet. Yeah. I know a girl in Brisbane, Nadia said. I think the climate crisis thing has made Brisbane a bit crazy with the weather. It used to be, in the 60s and 70s, Brisbane was sort of, in the afternoon in summer you'd get this really lovely you get this thunderstorm and then it would rain really heavy, and then, and that kind of would happen pretty much almost every day. And then I noticed it just started to fade away in the, sort of the late 80s and the 90s. It just stopped. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
That sort of thunderstorm kind of thing.
Yeah. The weather,
which was
the
really
climate
sad.
just changed.
Yeah, it changed, and then it just, I don't know, and hot as hell, like sometimes in summer, because the houses, it's not, I don't know, this, like my mother, she used to kind of go, there's a lovely cool breeze comes through the house. No, it doesn't, not on really hot days, does it, Didi?
No.
But Mum was so, sort of towards the end of her life, was so little that she could sit on the surface of the sun and think, oh, it's a little warm,
Yeah.
she just didn't really,
Didn't
there
get
was no cool breeze coming through the door really.
No.
And I don't know, it's just, like the furniture was hot, the bed was hot, I remember laying down on the bed and it was
hot.
like laying down on an electric blanket that's turned up to 3 or 4, or, you know what I mean? It was just disgusting.
Yeah.
My brother lived there for 26 years, home now, but still suffers with skin cancer. Wow. Yeah. So anyway, yeah, so Brisbane I think would probably be really kind of awful at this point. We were, it's like I don't know how people cope with hot weather, like in Vietnam, like the other day, Luna was saying it was, well, I looked up the temperature and it was like 37 with a 94% humidity, which would be just hideous. Like, how do you cool down with that, Didi?
I don't know.
And I remember passing through Kuala Lumpur on my way back from India, and I remember it was so hot in this hostel that like my glasses were fogging up. I was wearing glasses at the time. They were fogging up, and it was so like I just basically laid in this room with a fan on. I think I just like had a shower and just laid there with no clothes and just laid in front of the fan and just hoped that I woke up. You know what I mean? Like, it was so hot. It felt like it was like the time when I went to India and it was so cold and I was really, really cold, and it was, in Himachal Pradesh in the foothills of the Himalayas, and I went into this hotel. Basically, they call it a hotel, but really it's more like a hostel. And I was so cold, they just pulled some mattresses on top of me and went to sleep. And I honestly didn't know if I was going to wake up. I felt that cold, Edie.
Yeah. Yeah.
It reminds me of that, but the reverse. It's sort of, it was just so hot. When you come from India, which was was winter there, and then you go to Kuala Lumpur. I think it was winter there, wasn't it? Or is it? Hang on, it was.
Yes. I've got little caddies.
And it was just such a shock. And I was thinking, my God, how do people live in that?
Yeah.
Anyway. So Carly said houses here just not built for heat. They're built
I-
for holding heat. Yeah.
I remember going into when I was in Thailand, and we'd go out. You'd have a shower and you'd go out into the street and be out there for 10 minutes and want to go back and have a shower.
Yeah. Really. Yeah.
It got really crazy.
Yeah.
Um,
I was in the UK in London actually when they had this really unusual heat wave. This was ages ago, like 1983, and it was August, and it was really hot actually, even compared to Brisbane. And it was like really unusual that it was like that. And that's what I can remember of London. Actually, it wasn't all the sort of the rainy and grey or anything. I just remember it having a heat wave. Isn't that funny to have those sort of memories of London?
yeah.
Huh. Yeah. What's the homeless situation like in London now, Carly? Do you know?
The which situation?
The homeless situation.
Oh.
Yeah, you were saying to someone just recently, like the coldest winter somebody spent was in Brisbane because the houses aren't made for.
This was people coming from Lindisfarne, kind of up near the border of Scotland, and talking about insulation standards and things like that.
Right.
And they said, how England was a bit behind the standards of Scandinavia and that kind of stuff. But then they said, but the coldest, most miserable
winter
I ever had was in Brisbane. And it was because they were in this house that just had louvers and stuff like that. And no real nothing to stop the wind from whistling through.
Yeah.
And because it had zero kind of protection, it was cold and miserable for them.
Yeah, yeah.
But they were comparing it to Sweden and Norway and northern UK.
Right. Carly said, still not great yet funny how they managed to solve during the first lockdown. Yeah. How amazing. Above homelessness, okay. If they solved it during the first lockdown, what did they do? Just toss them out? I should go and see if anybody's on Twitch on our live stream there. Probably not.
I've got yet another little house under the sea.
What's that?
I've got yet another house under the sea. And my teleportation device that takes me to the land.
Oh, we've actually got a few followers on Twitch. That's funny. Twitch is a funny place, isn't it? All these people and sort of these adults all playing these different games.
What's that?
Twitch is a funny place.
It is.
It's a place where mostly everything is fun. Nothing bad is happening. Huh. Oh, is Carly going? Oh, gotta go. She says, gotta go. Unfortunately, but catch you all next time. Stay safe and love to you all. Love to you, Carly. Thanks for dropping by. I hope sometime you'll be able to stay a bit longer, but it's nice to catch up with you.
Yes, it is.
And Nadia says the UK has been getting bad about homelessness. Really, the Five Eyes, Western Bloc, maybe even with Europe too, nowadays have all been getting worse and worse ever since the Reagan-Thatcher neoliberal era. Yeah. The whole European Monetary Union was a method of imposing austerity via abdication of monetary sovereignty. Yeah. Bye, Carly.
Bye.
Enjoy the digging. Protect your little elbows and wrists.
Yes.
Hope you find some good Roman treasures in there.
Yes, that would be nice.
Yeah.
It's always nice to find Roman treasures. Let's see. What do I need? Electricity.
There's this group of people at the Uniting Church up in Signet, Didi, and they do this 2 days a week. They make food for people.
Yeah.
And I thought maybe one
that
day
would be good to do.
Yeah. I was thinking one day we might make a really great lentil curry and drop it off. I should find out. Find out like how they do it. Like if they, they have, how there can be things can be really restrictive. You know what I mean?
I've been interested in something like that.
Yeah, that'd be good. And do something like that. It's sort of separate, it's kind of different from the whole Meals on Wheels thing, but I imagine it would probably be anyone who's, and there'd be a lot of people having hardship.
Yeah.
So, that'd be kind of good. Or even dropping off a chocolate cake or something. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
That'd be good, wouldn't it?
Yeah.
They shouldn't that shouldn't be a problem, should it really? Anyway, I'll have to find out. I wrote their number down and, but that'd be nice for people, wouldn't it? There'd be something they wouldn't get. Hey, chocolate cake.
Yeah, well,
it's not exactly nutritious.
Probably not a vegan one anyway.
No. But, anyway. So now that we've moved that couch over there, everybody's decided it's an okay place to sit now.
Yeah.
When it was over here, nobody was interested. Now it's over there, and everybody wants to sit on it.
Yeah.
What you doing, Alia? What you doing, Alia? Hi. Anyway, Didi, it's about 11:30. Nadia's vegan too. Didi?
Yeah.
I think maybe in about 10 minutes we should probably wrap it up, don't you think?
Okay.
Just because I'm starting to get a little bit tired now.
Yeah.
I'm trying to be good and get to bed at a sort of some kind of reasonable hour so I don't feel tired in the morning.
Yeah.
I really have to kind of work myself up to doing wheelbarrowing those that I want to take the dirt around to those trees before spring properly gets here.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's hard work. Isn't it?
It is.
It's not that much hard work, but it feels like hard work to me.
Yeah.
Oh, I see. Are you already going to?
Well, I'm just had my thing crash
So
again.
what are you up to today, Nadia? Are you just having a relaxing day? What are you up to, Holly? We're probably going to sign off in about 10 minutes.
I just thought I'd end with a picture of Eva.
That's not a great picture of Eva. He's mid-yawning and...
He looks like he's roaring. I love that picture of Eva.
Show some sweetie pictures of him.
Okay.
He looks a little bit nuts there. Midnight's creeping up. Yeah, it's only 11:30, but I don't feel like I've been getting proper sleeps lately. Oh, there's Efi, up on the cat tree. I think he was he was like probably about 8 months there.
Yeah. He's a sweetie. This is a kind of a typical thing with his little arms limply over the edge.
So Nadia says, I was sleeping in for a while but found this on YouTube. What of this live stream, or found something else? Anyway, yeah, that's Eva with his pretty little blue eyes. Yeah. Or aquamarine eyes.
Yes, he's very sweet.
Anyway, Didi, we might wrap it up now, hey? Do you think?
Okay.
I'm sorry, I'm being a piker, aren't I?
You are. You're just a big piker.
What?
You're just a big piker.
I am. Big piker.
Okay. There's another picture of Eve.
Oh, I see. I'll probably search for some books, found this live stream. Oh, I see. Have you ever dropped in on Fellow Traveler, his YouTube channel? Nadia, do you ever see his channel? Fellow Traveler, he's a socialist, and he does some good spiels. Like, I haven't actually seen much of his stuff, but he sort of he and Jason Unruh, both those people kind of do interesting. Jason Unruh does more like journalist stuff, and Fellow Traveler does more like commentary, and they're both kind of socialist, aren't they, Didi?
Yeah.
Never heard of Fellow Traveler. Yeah. Hang on, I'll see if I can, and I'll put a link in there. Hold on. I have to say I've only probably watched 2 of his things, but he seems to, I don't know, he seems to make sense, you know?
Yeah.
And let's see, Fellow Traveler. Is that him? Oh, that can't be him because, no. There's a few Fellow Travelers, so I'm going to have to, let me see if I can find the right one. Fellow Traveler.
Not turning up.
Hey?
Not turning up. He just did something too.
Yeah, he just did something.
Look in the search instead of in the notifications.
I think I should be able to find it.
Yeah.
Fuck. God, I hate that. I hate that when you can't fucking...
Can't find anything.
Here we go. Fellow Traveler. There we go.
We haven't watched much of his stuff, so I'm not sure.
But Fellow Traveler.
We can't vouch for everything he says.
No. The Traveller, and then
Oh,
Jason
for some reason my
Unruh,
streaming
too,
monitor is
who's just
not
got locked
putting
out
up
of
any-
Twitter. He's also interesting. I don't agree with everything he says, but I'm sure he wouldn't agree with everything I say either. But anyway, he's just got locked out of out of YouTube, and that's really bad.
Who?
Jason
Jason?
Unruh. I think that they're trying to get rid of him,
Yeah.
and sort of I don't know, just any excuse. They're always meddling.
He gets interviewed by Press TV regularly. That's probably enough.
What's that?
He gets interviewed regularly
Yes,
by
that's
Press
enough,
TV.
isn't it? Yeah. Oh, you watched him.
The
Yeah,
Iranian
that's good.
media.
Is this what is this? Hugo Pnick? Nick?
Nisk?
Okay.
I don't know.
Okay, I'll have a look at that. Anyway, Didi, we might
Say goodbye.
say goodbye now. So anyway, it's lovely to chat with you. Yeah. Oh, interviews on Press TV. We'll get the CIA, etc., moving against him. Yes, for sure. He's been doing that for a while. Anyway, it was lovely chatting with you, Nadia. Lovely chatting with you, Holly, and
Holly,
whoever else
yeah.
was watching.
Whoever else might be there.
And we'll, I don't know when we'll do
Always
this again.
nice to see
yes,
you,
thank
Holly.
you, Nadia.
Yeah.
You have a great day.
And you too, Nadia.
You have a great day, Holly, and anybody else who's watching.
Yes. Yes.
Okay, well, I'll let you
Okay.
sign off, Didi.
I will sign off.
Much love and peace.
Much love. 1,
And keep safe.
2, 3. Solidarity and peace.